Here we go. Thank you. I'm delighted to introduce you to our first speaker of the evening, Jane Wigg, who has interrupted her holiday to come and join us today. So thank you again, Jane, for doing that. And she's also put some great bits and pieces in the goodie bags too. So thank you to Jane for that. Jane, if you don't know, is a manual lymphatic drainage nurse specialist and the founder and director of LymphVision, which we'll hear more about shortly. And Jane is also the lead trainer for her other company, Lymphatic Training Academy, that trains Fluoroscopy-Guided MLD, amongst, I'm sure, many other things, to lymphedema therapists. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you, please, to Jane Wigg. Jane, could you? Well, I've pressed record, so, you know. You'll be on the website later and everything, and YouTube.
I'm very short. Okay. Wow, okay. Well, thank you very much. Crikey. It's a local word. Have you ever had imposter syndrome? Where that negative voice in your head is saying they're not going to like you, they're not going to like the things that you're going to talk about, or how did I get to be here talking about this? And I mentioned that to one of my students yesterday. I said, I'm going to do this talk. And they said, what, you're scared? And I said, well, yeah, I still get those palpitations, which I did and I have had for the last couple of hours. And they said, I can't believe that of you. And I said, look, Peter Mortimer's there. And they said, yes, of course you're scared. So off we go. So thank you very much for the invitation. I hope you've had a great day and you've all enjoyed your golf. I did prepare a little bit. I actually went and took a golf lesson. So as a hockey player, it was quite challenging for me to change my hockey stick for my golf stick. But I managed it, and maybe I'll play with you next year. So maybe I'll be there. I mean, that nagging voice in your head, I don't even know why I'm here, because I never really wanted to be a nurse, and I am a nurse. What I wanted to do was be a police officer. I wanted to be a detective. I thought I had much more fun, and but I never grew. So that was my problem. So I ended up staying as a nurse. I think, though, with lymphatics, and all of us that are working with lymphatics do actually become a bit of a detective. We try and find out what the problem is with the lymphatic system, where the obstructions are, how we can try and make that work better. So I became a nurse because my mom was a nurse and it seemed the natural thing to do, although my dad said to me, why don't you be a doctor? Which is quite challenging as well, because actually I don't read very well. I was always that kid that when I was at school, I sat on the back table and everybody went round and they were reading a paragraph at a time, and I was rehearsing mine, trying to get it right, only for the lad in front to say a wrong word, and then the paragraph had to be repeated and me desperately trying to get my paragraph correct. So self-diagnosed dyslexic, because it was difficult back 40 years ago when you're in school, it's allowed me to be innovative. Because if you're innovative, then you can hide some of those other traits. So innovation's where I am, and innovation's what I've done, and we've innovated a couple of pneumatic compression pumps. I've had all of the innovations and gizmos in my clinic. So if you came to Wolverhampton Lymphoedema service, you could be guaranteed to have the latest technology, the latest things and products for our patients, which was amazing, but not amazing for everybody else that didn't have access to those. So being innovative, I managed to convince Andrew Wright from Hadnam Healthcare that maybe I was a good punt in order for us to go and be their innovations manager. And Hugh is not here, but I'm forever grateful for that and think it's the best decision that they made. It's all one of the best decisions that they made. So yes, I have a passion as being a nurse. I hope that everybody sees that when I'm teaching. And I think thinking that things are not enough is that there was not enough education. And Matt's already said that we run a training academy. I started that in 2002. 21 years this year, that is. 21 years of educating your lymphedema therapists, or most of them. That's a blinking long time when I'm only 25. So, and this year we're celebrating on the 21st, our 21st on the 21st of July, with an audience with Professor Mortimer. I think it'll be one of his later appearances, and it's an experience you're all very welcome at a cost to come and do that. And we put a ticket in the raffle for 2 of you to come. So 21 years, I worked full time around my kids, which was a bit crazy, and managed to have the opportunity through Hadnam and through the Training Academy to go to many conferences and present our research and present our findings. And that was groundbreaking at the time as well. So I'm very grateful for that. It afforded me at those conferences the ability to be able to see fluoroscopy. I'm getting there. So to see fluoroscopy, to see lymphatics moving for the real time, for the first time. And that was back in probably 2012. And I knew at that point as an educator that I needed to get fluoroscopy in the classroom. I knew that we needed to train our therapists better so that we could get them to give better care. But that was quite challenging. Challenging because the dye that we use is called indocyanin green, and it is fluorescent. And you need a camera to see that, night vision camera, effectively, that costs £40,000. That was a bit of a challenge for me. Now, fortunately, I had the opportunity to work with Oxford Lymphoedema practice, and they got a couple of cameras, and I worked with them for 6 months, and it gave me the opportunity to develop some of those skills. What was great for them is that surgery was taking off and they needed more clinic room, so I needed to step aside. In 2002, I not only set up a training academy, but I had a bit of money and I bought a house in Bulgaria. They're pretty cheap in Bulgaria. In 2007, I told that they'd go into the EU and make a lot of money, which didn't actually happen. So I raised the roof on it, I sold it, and I bought an apartment on the beach. And the sea was kind of where those seats are there, and I could sit on my balcony and I could drink a glass of wine and be happy with seeing that flow of water and the waves coming in and wondering what life was bringing me. And I guess that's where the problem starts, because life brings us nothing. We have to go and get it. So I had to go and get what I needed, which was for us to be able to train people better, for us to get lymphofluoroscopy imaging clinics better, for us to be able to see lymphatics, for us to be able to map where the lymphatics are draining to. So I sold Bulgaria, brought the money back and bought a camera. And that's how we set up LymphVision in 2013. So 10 years now we've been fighting, trying to get those types of treatments onto the NHS, and we're still not quite there, but we're getting there. So I was told that I'd never do it. And I said to Mike Bernas, one of my close colleagues from America, I said, just watch, just give me. And 6 months we were up and running at Oxford and getting those clinics up and running. So it's challenging, but what is it that we do? So lymphofluoroscopy mapping or imaging is where we inject a indocyanin green, which is a fluorescent dye, into the lymphatic system just underneath the skin, and it fluoresces with an infrared camera. It allows for us to see where there's a blockage or where the lymphatics are functioning. It allows for us to see whether the valves are functioning to help diagnosis of primary lymphedema and other conditions. It allows for us to see where obstructions are. But one of the things that we've done from a manual lymphatic drainage perspective is we've seen pathways. And when I was coming here today, I missed the sat nav and I went on a diversion pathway, which is absolutely what lymphatics do when there's an obstruction. And if we know that, we can target and direct care better and treatment better. And that's what mapping has allowed for us to do. It's allowed for us to see hand movements that can move the lymph quicker than maybe we've done before or in a different direction and just be a little bit more effective. And we know that MLD works pre and post treatment. If you've had MLD, you'll know it works, hopefully, but there's a lot of research coming out showing it doesn't. So you're going to be challenged with that over the next 12 months or year or so. And I think that as long as you know it works on the day and you're putting something in place to control it after, it works. I think if it works on the day, but you don't wear your garment or you're not concording to the other things, it's not going to give a long-term effect. Of course it's not. So those challenges will be coming your way. It's a little bit like when we're doing fluoroscopy. It's a bit like if you can imagine your Christmas day, which is only 6 months away. And you're looking at your Christmas tree lights and it's all multicolored and it looks beautiful. And then you imagine getting back from the pub on Boxing night and it's dark and you've just got the lights on the Christmas tree. That's us working in black and white. And that's what we see, black and white images with lymphofluoroscopy mapping. And if you've got those cascade lights that are going across the room, that's what we might see by injecting and seeing it going up to your armpit, into your axilla or into your groin. But if you can imagine you've got a clump of lights in one area or they're a bit knotted, that's where we might see where the fluid is being pushed up into the skin and it's looking for that diversion route for somewhere else to drain. Sometimes we see more severe images where the fluid is being pushed up into the initial lymphatics of the skin, the very beginning of the lymphatic system. It can't go down. Call that stardust. And sometimes imagine that you've got those Christmas tree lights still in the box with the tinsel on top. Call it dermal backflow. And we need to push that lymph, if we know where it's draining to with ICG imaging, to somewhere it can drain and move it there so it can flow freely. So we can look for those routes out. And what we do at LymphVision is we provide individualized treatment plans. We'll see where you're draining to. We'll prescribe some care for you. We'll send it to your therapist, hoping that they can follow that and implement that care. We'll see patients not just for a couple of hours, but it can take 5 hours. We sometimes see people overnight, depending on what the condition is. So it may be that we'll, for an example, my own mom having breast cancer treatment. So we did ICG imaging prior to surgery, and we injected the breast and the tumour so that we could see where the sentinel lymph node was. And then we could kindly ask the surgeon, of course, saving lives, but to try and be courteous to the lymphatics. We also see people who just have a tiny little bit of dermal rerouting at the beginning of their lymphatic journey. And what we think is that if they can just gently massage that, nothing technical about it, just flush it away, then that might be enough for them if it's very early. But sometimes it becomes more severe and we need to go into compression garments and lots of other things, of course. And we don't only map patients, we do courses of treatment. So you can come to us for a course of daily treatments, of course. And everything that we learn from LymphVision is fed into the training academy so that the therapists are learning the latest things that are happening. In fact, tomorrow we've got a journal being released from the British Journal of Community Nursing with 8 papers in it that we've produced over the years. So it's going to be fantastic. And yes, it's taken a lot of hard work to get those all done and done. So lots of individual things, lots of things to try and make your personalised treatment plan and to train therapists to be better, to give better care, because that's what it's about at the end of the day. And we might have people that are driving nice, shiny 1930s cars, and they might look beautiful and shiny on the outside, but maybe they don't have all the technology on the inside. And technology and innovation is leading us to where we're going. I was just talking to Professor Mortimer about the gut biome, and we know how that's affecting mental health as well as gut, as well as lymphatics and inflammation. So treatments will absolutely be changing, and we need to be moving and embracing that. So being an innovator allows me to move forward. It stops me from being static. It allows my brain to go crazy and think about what's the next thing? What's the next thing for you? So I might not have Bulgaria anymore, and nagging Nora might be telling me that I'm going on for a little bit too long. But I'm starting to ignore her and understand that for us to get movement, for us to get change, we need to move forward. And the purpose and the motto of the Lymphoedema Training Academy, and because we couldn't separate it for LymphVision, is also because people with lymphatic conditions deserve better. That's what we'll continue to do. So thank you for listening, and I'll vacate the area.
Thank you very much indeed, Jane.